Welcome to the Small Biz Rescue podcast, where we deep dive into the heart of entrepreneurship. From practical, immediate steps to success stories from normal people like you and me that inspire. We're here to untangle the fears, simplify the process, and show you that mastering your business is within everyone's reach. You are not alone. Let's rescue your business dreams together, one episode at a time. Let's get to it. What is up, guys? Hugh Carnahan here, and thank you so much for tuning into the Small Biz Rescue podcast. So this is going to be the DNA of the show, why I created the show, and just introducing you to kind of the why behind everything. And so I don't know how long this will be, probably not very much. I'll give a little bit of background about me, and then I'm going to jump into kind of what we can expect moving forward as listeners for you guys. So the first and foremost is I'm doing this on the side. I've got a bunch of businesses full time, and I apologize in advance. I will make mistakes. I will make a lot of mistakes. In fact, I think there's a troubleshooting issue that we're going on with our audio where sometimes there's some popping noises. So I apologize in advance as we get that sorted out. So the first and foremost is my background is I am a process engineer. I graduated college and then went to work for a software development company or IT for an oil company, and then moved to software customer service. And then I moved into manufacturing, and I found a secret weapon, and that secret weapon is called 2-second lean. And a lot of the stuff that you hear in these podcasts are going to be 2-second lean fundamentals. I'm going to say maybe like 60% of them. 40% is stuff that I've learned the hard way, and things that I'm going to share with you what I'm going to use I and we interchangeably. Please know that there's a team behind it. But at the very beginning, you as the leader, you need to get things going. So there's tons of mistakes I've made, and I am first and foremost here to share with you what I found that has worked and what is extremely successful, and what I find generally is not successful. And so at this point, my claim to fame in the 2-second lean space, one of them, the first claim was that I had the largest continuous morning meeting ever in the world. And that is 350 employees at the same time in the same facility. I'm going to chalk that up to me being too stupid or too dumb to know it's supposed to be hard. The book said, hey, smart people refuse to believe how simple it can be, so just do it. I didn't have any resources, so I just did it. All right. So second claim to fame is going to be that was done inside China, the CCP, People's Republic, in a factory outside Shanghai. They do not, for those of you that are completely unaware of what goes on over there. So there is no access to Gmail. There's no access to email. There's no access to Facebook. There's no access to YouTube. And there was no Mandarin version of the book 2-second lean. And so I basically had zero tools. And so here I am, a United States American person who is now communicating Western ideals, or actually they're Eastern ideals, funnily enough, they're from Japan, but communicating wildly different ideals than what the communists had trained their workforce to do. The people are great. Government, I won't comment on, but I'll just say that the workforce and the Chinese average citizen are awesome, but they're also trained to obey, and they're afraid to think on their own. That goes back to Cultural Revolution times in the 60s. But I'm going to get back to it. Long story short, when you want to implement something so your business can be successful, a lot of the problems that companies and business owners face is that they can't not be working. And the reason they can't not be working is because their workforce, it seems to them like they're the only people that can do the job. And simultaneously, it seems to them like none of their team members have critical thinking skills. I'm going to say that is a process issue, and this is something that's 100% learnable. And so if you listen to me this far, I'm going to be breaking up how I got to the point and the whys behind what works and what doesn't work, right? And hopefully it ends up being good. But back to China. So the Chinese were an extremely hard Eastern culture where everyone's trained to obey. And so it's multifaceted layers where you think that's a good thing, but it means that they don't think. They intentionally don't think. And if they want to get ahead, they'll go behind you and sabotage. So I had a lot of failures in implementing 2-second lean there, but I got them operational and we were able to turn that company around. So for 18 months, I beat my head against a wall and I tweaked 1 or 2 things. And immediately within 1 month, it was like a breath of fresh air, completely different company. So many changes. I mean, we made more changes in that month after tweaking everything than we did in the entire 18 months beforehand. And so I want to tell you that it's 100% obtainable and you can get that turned around. So, the biggest thing to date that I ever was a part of, we led a Kaizen event, which I'm not a fan of. I think that traditional 2-second lean is better, but a Kaizen event is basically a large scale flow change that we did. And we took a process from the average cycle time was 22 days and we took it down to 3 hours. That saves that company $7 million a year, every year forever, adjusted for inflation in 2018 dollars. Sorry, not adjusted for inflation, right? So it's 2024 right now. So the business back in 2018 at $7 million. So whatever it is in today's dollars is more. But the cool thing is it saves them all that money indefinitely. And the price was already built in for their customers. The customers were already used to the sloppiness and they were able to just pocket the difference. But more importantly than pocketing the difference, they were able to, as COVID happened and as supply chains became constrained, they were able to hold out and not raise their prices as long because that meat on the bone was created, which is awesome. So that was my first and second claim to fame, right? Going in, right? No tools. I was able to do that with no tools. I had to build everything from scratch. And I'd like to say, I was just too stupid to know it'd be any better. But I'm not trying to stroke my own ego or anything, but I'm going to tell you what I think really happened. Is that I just didn't make an excuse for myself, right? There's so many people and so many of these group chats and so many people in the lean community that just say, I'm in Canada and blah, 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 blah. And I've got these 7 guys at this woodworking place and I can't get it to work. No, there's something wrong. There's an excuse that you're making. Look inward. Everything as the owner is your fault. There's something you can do to make it better. You may have been trying a lot, but there is a process defect somewhere that needs to be addressed so you can uncork that bottleneck and you can really, really get to moving and shaking. So the first thing I want to say is I am not super smart. I graduated with a, D for diploma, baby, right? And so through pure force and office hours and just beating my head against it through sheer willpower, I was able to graduate college and yada, yada, yada. I probably shouldn't have been a person that went to college, but I did. Anyways, American dream, whatever. All that to say, most of the people listening to this podcast probably are smarter than me. You are probably have better resources than I do. You have better opportunities. There's better, some of you guys might be better funded than we were at the time. And I'll say that you can pit me and my success and my company's successes up against most 2-second lean companies, most companies in the world. And I'll say that I'll probably be more successful most of the time. And that is not because I'm smart or better. It is only because my processes are slightly better and that I don't have an excuse. I don't have a victim mentality. I have a victor mentality and we rapidly iterate. And so we're going to hear a lot of fundamental principles and I'm going to try to share those with you that you can internalize. You probably have heard them before. Nothing that I did not create anything. I'm copying what has already worked, tweaking it to fit my needs. And so as you are listening to this podcast throughout all of the episodes, you might hear me say very strong-winded things. And I wanted you to note where that's coming from. That's coming from a place of having tried it and failed many, many times. Having tried and failed in other companies many, many times and knowing what works and what doesn't. However, still take anything I have to say with a grain of salt. Another big critical thing as we get into this podcast is I want you guys to be aware of don't take advice from people unless they've done it before. Did they actually get something successful? And this is coming from my other podcast. I have another podcast called FU Money, Finances Under Control, FU Money podcast, and I'm in real estate. And so a lot of the times people are giving all this advice and, oh my God, you're going to be dealing with tenants and toilets at 2 a.m. in the morning. I've never had that happen. We've had emergencies. There are problems, but the advice that I was getting was from people who have gone the way before me and who are successful. And so I want you to look at the motives of the people who are giving you advice, number one. And also, number two is has that person done it? Do they have a success? Don't listen to the naysayers out there. Listen to the people who have done it before you, and also double check, what's in it for them. And so it's really important that you guys take everything that everyone tells you with a grain of salt and then use that as education and come to your own conclusions. So there's that. Okay. Now I know I'm a little bit all over the place. I'm going to continue to be that way. That's just who I am. I'm sorry in advance. What you're going to also find is a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of people that are in leadership positions and owners and founders of companies have severe ADHD. I am one of those people. I have severe ADHD. And it makes sense to my brain, so I'm just kind of talking. So I'm going to do my best to protect you guys from me by having some outlines and some stuff. But a lot of my stuff is going to be free flow, and I'm going to just be talking about what matters this week or this month. Now, let's go on more towards this month, this week. At this point in time, I am fiscally retired. I'm financially independent. So you're going to hear me interchange, I'm retired, with at the same time I'm running 12 companies. Well, Hugh, how can you be running 12 companies if you're retired? That's a fantastic question. And the answer is I am financially retired, but my companies are not. What does that mean? In a shit hits the fan situation, at a worst case scenario, I can stop anything that costs money. I can shut down several businesses, and I will forever, independently, me and my family for the rest of our lives, be financially taken care of it, independent. I built that. It's been about 5 years since I started building that. Really, about 18 months in, I was financially independent. My goal now is to make my companies financially independent. That means that the assets that they own indefinitely will bring in more money than the expenses they have forever. So here's the way I want you to think about this, because I'm going to talk about this, right? So we've got, I don't know, for those visual people that can see it, I have a shirt on called Small Biz Rescue. And I'm going to be talking to owners and business people and of concepts that I did not know I was supposed to know about. And in fact, no one teaches you this stuff. And so hopefully I can be the first person to shed light on that. But going back to what I was just saying, being financially independent, I want you to think of this. If something were to happen to you right now, and take out a notepad or a piece of paper, if something were to happen to you right now, how long could your family make it? How long could your business make it? And yes, I'm just letting this hang here for the air for a second. How long could your business or family make it if something were to happen to you right now? For me, the answer is indefinitely. If you watch our kickoff episode with Paul Akers, the answer is indefinitely. We're going to get you built up there. Another one, there's a lot of wide international audience. I'm going to use a lot of stuff, a lot of my experiences in the United States. I apologize in advance, but we already have a ton of UK, New Zealand, Australia, some Slovakia, some Slovenia folks. We have a lot of Canadians. We have a lot of listeners already. And I want you to know that I'm going to try to keep things to the base fundamentals as possible, but it might be a little bit Americanized when we get into tactics of things to use. However, still keep listening, because those same fundamentals still apply. And we'll get into that in a future episode. I've got a UK buddy of mine who I'm getting into business hacking, and he's buying real estate with it. And as he's buying real estate, he's, expanding and doing more, but he has different tools in his tool bucket because he's in the UK than I do in the US, but they're similar because a lot of the time governments want businesses to be successful. So no matter where you're at, please keep that in mind with a grain of salt. All right. So I'm going to be teaching through real estate. Well, hold on. I am financially independent through real estate. You don't necessarily have to be, but it is a tool that is usually accessible to many, many people. So I'm going to be also maybe like 15, 20% heavy on real estate, where I'm just introducing concepts to you guys so you can pick and choose. Okay. So that was I know that there's a lot right there. I'm going to get into that, but those will all be individual episodes, standalones. I'll have guests out there. All right. So moving on. The next thing I'm known for, and is that I think to the best of my ability, to the best of my knowledge, we were the very first fully decentralized 2-second lean company that ever existed. And I'll let you guys know right now, there's a lot of mistakes that we made along the way. And the way that, if you guys saw my old AME tour, the way that things went back then might be a little different than now, not too much different. But I'll just say, hey, I had an unfair advantage when I started. I started with 5 years of experience of 2-second lean working in a manufacturing facility as my foundation, that when I translated it to being decentralized, I was able to understand what was going to go wrong, probably. And then when things went wrong, we were able to tweak it. So I'm going to be sharing a lot of that with you. But I will let you guys know right up front, it will never be as impactful as having everything in person. That being said, I don't care. I want to share that with you anyways. The reason why is because we are entering a new economic age. I want you guys, the words of Edward Demings, we are entering a new economic age and we must adapt. And one of the adaptations is Zoom is never going away. Working with international companies is never going away. Working with remote offices is never going away. So the alternate is you better learn and adapt. And I'm going to be sharing anything that I say ever on this podcast. I want you to know if something better comes along, I will dump the old thing and then I will adopt the new thing. My fundamental baseline MO is to constantly improve. And so you might listen to this podcast right now and 5 years from now, be listening to the content I'm putting out and I'll have learned and I'll be doing something different. And if you listen to all the podcasts, which you should subscribe, then you're going to hear that change along the way. But we're going to be constantly learning and tweaking as we go along. But starting out, I've got, let's see here, 7 years of 2-second lean experience. I've got 5 years now of running my own companies. I now currently run 12 companies. 4 companies do stuff. 12 companies in total. Those 12 companies currently own different things, but don't really do much. So I'm going to say I run 4 companies simultaneously that are active, and I'm financially independent. At any point in time, I can close those 4 companies down and indefinitely survive off of the income. So those are a little bit of my background, right? We are the very first decentralized company. There are absolutely ways to do things, and there are definitely ways of not to do things. And I'm going to get into that a lot. A lot of you guys are going to hear a broken record. And the reason I'm going to say those things is because those are what I know through personal experience and experience helping other friends, other business owners not fail and right their ships of companies that were maybe going down a bad path. I know what works for them. And I do have a deep rooted belief that those things probably are going to work for your company. So there's that. Now, limiting beliefs. I want to address this in episode 1 or DNA of the podcast, whatever. So many people will listen to what I have to say and they'll say, oh, this is a manufacturing background, or oh, that's in real estate and does not apply. That is not the case at all. I did not call this the Lean Biz Rescue podcast, although I almost did. This is the Small Biz Rescue podcast. And my definition of a small business is any business that has 10,000 employees or under. So if you are a solopreneur all the way up to 10,000 employees, this is going to still apply. And if you are in a bigger company like that, that's fine. It just means take the information and tweak it, right? If you are middle management, if you are upper management, if you are the CEO of a large company and you're listening to this for some reason, welcome, welcome, welcome. What I have to say is more targeted towards owners of small businesses, right? The restaurant owners, the plumbers, the whatever, but the business fundamentals still make sense. And you're going to have to translate that into a corporate America or corporation sense, which I will be bringing on guests to do. There's one guy in particular who's able to do it. It's incredible. Works for a publicly traded company. He's middle management, upper management, and he's awesome. And then there's a few other guys. And so there's that. Now, one last caveat I'm going to say. To people, there's one guy out of Canada who works for a government agency right now. He's listening to the podcast. He's interacting. They're asking questions. I want you guys to know, if you work for an organization that's a 503c, a charity or a government organization, you work for the military, boy, do I have some news for you. This stuff absolutely applies there. You've got more red tape but there's also more things that you guys could get away with and could not get away with just by the nature of your organizations. So I've got a guest to talk about. One guy is in the military and what he was able to do and what he was able to overcome. And the military is one of the least flexible organizations that exist. And he's saved thousands of lives and to the tune of the U.S. Army, and not his words, not the Army's words, but the U.S. Army has updated policies because of what he's implemented with a 2-second lean background. And he's never even formally gone through the training that we've got, right? He's never not even fully trained. He had a conversation with me over beers in the hot tub behind me, if you're seeing on video, years ago, took that information and it was brilliant. And so here's the message I want to get out to all of you. All of you are brilliant. All of you guys are superheroes. You're epic. You are solving the problem that somebody has. That's why you have a business. There is a blind maker somewhere. There is a brewer somewhere. There is a manager. There is a Leslie Knope who is in charge of Parks and Rec. You guys are solving problems, and I want to give you the best tools that I have. They will be changing. They will be constantly changing, but the fundamentals will pretty much never change. The tactics might change a little bit. Very rarely will you see me roll over on a fundamental. However, I have been known to do it on occasion. And I'm going to say, hey, I'm tweaking that fundamental. I'm not necessarily changing it because for the most part, this will exist. If this is 100 years from now and humans are still around, well, this will still probably exist and the fundamentals will probably still work and the way to interact with humans will still work in the future. It's just whatever the tools you have, the technology is going to be different. And so you're going to be able to apply to it. If you took this and went way back into medieval times, these tactics will still work. It's just the technologies are different. So we interact with them differently. So I hope that, I don't think that cleared anything up. Sorry in advance. One more incredible thing, I think it's going to be fun, is there will not be a dedicated co-host. I will be the main host. Sometimes I will have solo videos. Sometimes I will have co-hosted videos, but those co-hosted videos is always going to be floating. So you might get some repeat people. But if I am interviewing someone from Australia, maybe I have an Australian co-host. If I'm interviewing someone from in Ireland, maybe someone from Ireland pops on. If it's someone from Europe, maybe Paul Akers pops up. I don't know. But the main thing is I want this to be flexible. I want this to be fun. And I want to showcase the failures. Guys, the failures are where it's at. The failures are where you learn everything. And I'm going to leave you this as a sign off. I'm going to bring it back to the beginning when I said I'll probably be more successful, or I've found that I'm often more successful than so many of my peers. Not because I'm smarter, but because I fail more often. Every single day, I'm constantly trying something, and every single day, I'm failing. I probably fail 50 to 60 times a day. If that sounds familiar, it's because Paul talks about failing 50 to 60 times a day, often. That's a very real statistic. Today, I did like 15 or 20 2-second lean improvements. Don't worry about that if you don't know what that is. But I just thought back, I'm like, these are so second nature that I didn't even realize I made a bunch of improvements. It was just the way I operate. I have some funny stories from a future co-host that I'll bring on about one time he was observing me eating salad. And it's just a funny thing that happened that he observed. I was making a 2-second lean improvement completely subconsciously. The reason I'm successful often is because I'm failing more often than every counterpart in every industry. That's number one. Number two, I've got a framework that I believe is the fundamental, right? Within 2-second lean, they have a big thing. Only 2% of people make it. 98% or have lukewarm results or even fail, like truly fail. They never adopt and implement. I believe that I have been a 2%er and have always been a 2%er in every company. And it is 100% possible to right that ship. And what that means is every single person in your company can behave like you. I want you to stop and think, right? Just with that piece of paper. Like earlier, if you have 5 employees, you have 60 employees. I want you to ask yourself this one question and just write it out and then answer it after we get off the podcast. It's not what could you do if all 5 of your employees were you. What if all 5 of your employees were you? No. What couldn't you accomplish if all 5 of the people on your team were you? If you're a company of 60, what couldn't you accomplish if all 60 people on your team were you? What if you were in every single position? That's exactly what I aim to teach and train. Again, a lot of these fundamentals are going to be borrowed from 2-Second Lean, which I did not come up with. A lot of them are just basic business fundamentals that I never knew I was supposed to be looking at. And guys, I'm also going to be taking a break. I'm going to see Alex Hermosi here in, I'm leaving in a few hours. But I want to get this out to you guys to let you know that I'm going to constantly be improving and releasing content. It'll be annoying. Also, I have a lot of viewer questions already coming in, a lot of listener questions. So if you have questions, send them to SBR, that's Small Biz Rescue, SBR at HughCarnahan.com. If you're interested in finance or money, check out the FU Money podcast. They're available everywhere podcasts can be, mainly on Apple and Spotify. And guys, I will continue to make mistakes. Again, thank you. Some viewers and listeners were pointing out that I have typos in my free resources. I've got free resources. You go to HughCarnahan.com in the top left. I'm doing this on my own. And this is, this is one of those 4 businesses that is not the moneymaker. This is not the thing. This is not my day job. This is the thing that I have going on outside of that. So my resources are a little thin. They will be clunky. I'm just gonna let you guys know that in advance, and I don't care. I'd rather take imperfect action and get this information out to you. If you want to, use it, great. If not, let me know. I love feedback, especially candid feedback. It was funny. First podcast dropped, and a buddy of mine, Brad, he reached out. He's like, Hugh, everyone else is probably kissing your ass right now, but you suck. There's audio problems here and these things here. And you said that you're financially independent and retired, but then you said you're running companies. And I'm addressing that right here, right now. This is the second episode. I want you guys to give me feedback. I will read every comment, try to respond to it. And then we are going to have a Q&A section at the beginning of the SBR podcast. Guys, I hope you get something out of this, and I hope to provide as much value as possible. But in the meantime, I appreciate where you guys are at in the world. You guys are rock stars. Thank you for allowing me to take some of your time. I hope that you can take something that you learn from my podcast and make the world a better place. Guys, remember to go out there, fix what bugs you, and we'll see you next time. Woo! As we wrap up another episode of Small Biz Rescue, remember, your business dream does not have to be a solo journey. We are here to navigate the challenges and celebrate the victories and to provide you the tools you need to break free from entrepreneurial enslavement. Guys, if you're listening right now, you might have gotten value from this. And if you have, it'd be a huge thanks to go wherever you're listening to this from, rate and review this, give us a 5-star rating. We listen and read every single comment and are constantly updating the show. If you want to be on the show, shoot us an email at sbr@hughcarnahan.com. Guys, remember to stay tuned, to take action, keep pushing forward, because with the right steps and a bit of courage, anyone can transform their business and their life. Until next time, keep dreaming, fighting, and let's rescue your business together. Thanks for listening, and remember, next step to your business breakthrough is just an episode away.